First off, I don't play League anymore. It's an awful, terrible, soul-crushing game that sucks you in for, let's say, 2 years of your life, slowly filling you with rage as you time and time again fail to climb out of silver, getting flamed always, all while spending close to $1,000 on skins when you're 16. You don't have that kind of money when you're 16. Why the fuck did I spend $1,000 on League when I was 16? But even though I can confidently say League is bad, I can also with the utmost confidence say the show it's amazing. Right off the bat, Arcane is good, like really good. I mean, we all know that. One look at this show and you can pretty much tell it's really good. From insane animation to the very competent writing, the soundtrack, oh god, the soundtrack. Imagine Dragons. It's a captivating show that one day may live among the greatest hits of Netflix. You know, like Stranger Things and Big Mouth? There's 7 seasons of Big Mouth? Why? So like I said, it's just a really good show, a complete package. But sometimes a package can be, let's say, a little lopsided. Like, hypothetically, if one side of the package was bigger than the other side. Now, it's still a great package. You really love this package. But it's undeniable there's a much more or better side of this show. I mean package. Season 1 of Arcane came with absolutely zero expectations, and I mean literally none. A League of Legends show to promote the game? Come on, it'll just be any other video game tie-in. You know, they place the characters, throw some set dressing, make them fight like rabid children with toys, just ramming them in each other, repeating their easily marketable catchphrases, all while advertising the absolute shit out of this game at every given opportunity. It could have been so easy for them, but no, they had to take the hard route. They had to go in with their grubby little fingers and their big city ideas and actually make this show good? Are they crazy? It's Netflix. The bar's already on the floor. You could have tripped over it while insisting you could write it better than the source material and still somehow get 3 seasons. But somewhere, somehow, someone actually cared. And it shows. Look, I was utterly blown away by Arcane. You know, not only good, it's good, like Succession good. These characters, for the first times in their meager existence, had actually interesting motivations. Like, take it from me, they never really had that much going on for them. Like here's Jinx in game, in case you didn't know. Yeah. Just like a Temu Harley Quinn. But these characters, they have thoughts, goals, hope, dreams, fears. These characters were real. This setting felt real. A symptom of very good and competent writing. Now, I want to talk more about competent writing and what that means later on, but for now, I just want to highlight that Season 1 of Arcane honestly feels much better than we deserve. Again, they could have just made a 4-hour fight cinematic, and I think us hungry League fans would have been satisfied, allowing Riot to collect their paycheck and move on to the next $500 character skin promoted by a player that made a whole personality about not using skins. But they gave us a lot more. They gave us this. But you already know that. I mean, there's a reason Arcane shot up to the top of IMDb and everything else. And it's not because of the League try-in. Trust me, it's definitely not because of this war crime of a game. Dude, why so much on skins? Honestly, what makes Season 1 so good is the accessibility. And what I really mean by this is, like, my mom watched this show. I mean, she watches Bridgerton and, like, Disney Star Wars. I mean, but even she could appreciate it. It's this even pacing that gives us time to introduce ourselves to these characters without knowing them previously, so we get to care for them before they inevitably get ripped away from us. It's this tightly woven, very character-driven story that's recognizably good, even for people who might not normally engage in media like this. I mean, it strategically makes use of all its elements to tell this tale of 2 cities, you know, Piltover, its conflict with Zahn, and this grounded, somehow real-feeling setting that ties the bow on probably the best video game adaptation I've seen. But it's so good, it's even good for non-video game fans. Again, my mom, she loves Season 1. But that leads me to just one of the dilemmas, just part of it. But why was Season 2 so hard for her, and apparently many others, to get into? And I think it's this disconnect from Season 1 I want to talk about, because Season 2 in a vacuum, I just have to say real fast, is still really, really good. It just has the unfortunate task of following up what I would consider a near flawless piece of media, and inevitably in this comparison is when the cracks really start to show. And again, like, I just really want to talk about Season 2, you know, the good, because there's definitely really good parts about it, but also the glaring issues that it presents, and how unfortunately, Arcane was nearly perfect. See, there it is, there's the title. If you were waiting for it, ooh, he said it. Look, like I said earlier with the loosely given package metaphor, Arcane as a whole is still great. Since the ending of Season 2 and the conclusion of Arcane, I think it's fair to say Arcane is about a 7 or an 8 out of 10. No, it's definitely an 8 out of 10. Look, it's still really enjoyable, and I will definitely be rewatching this. And it's not like other shows where the ending is so bad it completely ruins any attempt at a future rewatch. However, and here's the issue, without Season 2, like before the release of it, Arcane was and would have been an easy 10 out of 10. So why did Season 2 seem to fall behind a bit? And why does it hinder the show and Season 1 as a consequence? Let's dive in. But before, let's do our quick round of applause for Season 2, because there is a lot to applaud real fast before we really dig in. First of all, the voice acting, the direction, oh my god, the visuals. I mean, look at this. Look at that. I mean, my god. And if you haven't already, give a round of applause for the animators. I mean, they really deserve it. And they probably haven't seen their families in months. I mean, just let them go home. They've earned it. The voice actors, oh my god. Jinx, is this you? Is this video game adaptations are going very well lately because of you, apparently. It's like, good job. And the rest of the cast, I think everybody did really amazing. The voice work is awesome. And the overall concept, I mean, thank you for taking one of the most fun lore points I can remember from the game and making it really intriguing and like a great starting point for the series. And look, I'm really looking forward to more of these League shows. Apparently there's more planned, so cool. But now, I want to talk about the execution. And not as a reformed League fan, but now as a pretentious TV fan. So Arcane is a very character-driven story, meaning these characters fully push the plot through their own agency. Every character in Arcane has agency, and you can really see the results of their motivation directly affecting the overall plot in the world as they move forward with their stories, and it all contributes to that overall story. In my opinion, character-driven stories oftentimes end up being more interesting than their counterpart and arch-enemy, plot-driven stories. Look, I'm going to bring up Chainsaw Man for a moment because honestly, it's similar to Chainsaw Man. Arcane, at its forefront, at its best, isn't an action battle fight show. Chainsaw Man is not an action shonen, actually. Chainsaw Man is a character drama. I mean, it fully is. I mean, the fights only last at most, 2 pages? And it's really at its best when characters are just interacting, learning and growing while working towards their ideals, and the drama occurs because of these ideals and they bash heads. So it makes the story so good. The fights are used as almost a cherry on top, not the main attraction, which similarly Arcane is really, really good at. I gotta say real fast, the fight scenes in this show, by the way, are absolutely incredible, but it really does just feel like a perfect treat to go along with what is otherwise a really good character drama. And I mean, when they're interacting, when they're having these really meaningful interactions, it's the best. I mean, Season 1 did this so masterfully. Anytime there was a scene where 2 characters were honestly just talking, it ended up feeling so profound, so good. It is also massively important to the direction of the story that every single talking scene, going even further, every piece of dialogue, it felt needed to better present this drama. I mean, nothing in Season 1 felt wasted. And I think that's the power of these character-driven stories. We're seeing these characters grow with their own agency, shaping the world presented them in very exciting ways. And it's fun. Like a quick example, every main character contributes to kicking off the plot in Arcane. And it's not the other way around. It's these overlapping consequences between these actions before they even meet that sets up this show so perfectly and sets off this domino effect that leads to the plot. It really shows why these characters are our protagonists. This web of drama, these interconnected consequences, that is the essence of Arcane. These characters are in full control of their destinies. We get to see them behind the wheel, and we get to see them eventually crash into something. It's just much more interesting storytelling than when it's just like, oh, a big bad guy is coming, oh, a meteor is coming. Yeah, that's all plot driven. For the most part. I want to see characters acting on their own hubris or ambition, trying to do something, mess it up, and affecting the world, which again is Arcane at its absolute best. And this is where Season 2 sort of drops the ball. At a certain point, it kind of switches from a more character-driven drama to ending up at more of a plot-driven, stop the big baddie, world-ending threat kind of deal. It just eventually goes through checking narrative boxes instead of watching these characters interact in the world with each other. But honestly, that can usually actually be fine for the finale of a show. Look, if Season 1 was the entire setup of it and it's a 2-season show, then Season 2 would naturally be the conclusion. But this doesn't quite happen in Season 2, and you'll start to notice if the plan was to present 2 seasons as a whole, then they aren't really treating them like two acts. Like season 2 starts introducing more plot threads, like a lot more, and they start moving away from certain arcs in place of other ones. Like it just gets a little messy with only 9 episodes to wrap everything up. Look, I think the worst example of this is probably the Black Rose. I didn't even fully really understand what was happening. And I barely remember mentions of them from the game, but honestly that vague recollection of them might have made it even worse. And this comes from more of a pacing issue. It's just not enough time to really develop what this is or be fully introduced to it. And I think the biggest crime though is they just abandoned Zahn and Piltover and the whole Civil War thing. I mean, why did they do that? And look, I think this goes into a further issue with Season 2, where there is this clear setup and expectation from Season 1 that didn't really get the resolution it deserved, and I think in a way that is kind of disappointing. Like for example, Season 1 was masterfully set up to show this political conflict of Piltover and the Undercity, now rallying for independence under the new name of Zahn, the struggle of the people, vying for this ideal, Vander and Silco. This very delicate, tense situation that even a few goofs, would end up in a whole war. The Overcity versus the Undercity, this war of independence. I mean, it ends up with Jinx blowing up their government, basically. It was already a hair trigger away. It ends with Caitlyn's mom is probably dead, their leadership evaporated, literally, and we know what this means now. This means it is going to be a full-blown war. That's where Season 1 ends. It's the perfect place to end it. Dramatic irony at its peak. Jinx has now embraced her new identity in spite of killing Silco, ready to tear everything apart. Vi and Caitlyn can only watch, now knowing what that means for Caitlyn, who most definitely is down a parent now. Vi, who never wanted to give up on Powder, now witnessed her commit a terrorism. Is this finally too far? It ended up leaving you with the perfect questions, an amazing setup, now ready to be pushed to its fullest in the concluding season. So Season 2 starts, we start right in the direct aftermath of the explosion. People are dead, tensions are rising, Caitlyn's mom is confirmed dead. This is great, fantastic. Where are we gonna go from here? But then it just doesn't, because then we cut back to more arguing among Piltover. Now they don't want to go to war. They're trying to blame it all on Jinx, and that's fine, whatever. So then we cut back to the Undercity, and now it's a bunch of gangs fighting for who's in charge, with the death of Silco, which also is great, that's fine. We love seeing more of this. And okay, real fast, honestly, this is where we run into one of my favorite tropes of all time. It's very overly specific gangs, like from the Warriors. And like when I saw a gang of like a bunch of top hat monocled gentlemen versus a bunch of like BDSM people, instantly love that trope. Favorite trope, make more overly specific gangs, okay? Very fun. But anyways, we get back into this turf war, and this is fun because we're still seeing the ramifications of this. Without Silco, it makes sense there'd be a power struggle. We're seeing the Shimmer Varens fighting it out. We got to see them a bit in Season 1, but they mostly just got gassed by Silco. But anyways, yeah, we're getting more Zahn war, finally. We're really seeing stuff move on. Cool. But now there's one missing thing. Where's Jinx? So then, why do we basically cut to Jinx, like, not doing anything? And she basically just wanders around the whole first episode trying to find a purpose again. Look, I get with her character, these themes of like being hurt, trying to find your identity, trying to find a family, why she might not be so eager right away about basically starting a war. But a lot of this season has her dealing with the concept that she can't tell if she's still Jinx or Powder. Which is just interesting because at the end of the season, the big thematic conclusion was her finally deciding she is in fact Jinx. She is in fact doing this, taking the side, and she cements it by blowing up the Piltover Council. So it's just weird to see that they kind of go back on her character in this aspect. And then it continued to go and get even worse because now they introduce one of my least favorite tropes. But real fast, Arcane seems to tackle all the tropes they take on fine, which falls into that competent writing department. They use what would seem to be these obvious tropes that would probably derail a character in most places, but they actually handle them with a lot of care. Mel could almost certainly come off offensively in the wrong hands, but the writing really supports the validity of her character and these traits. That is competent writing. But like, my God, the moment the kid showed up, I was like, no, stop. tired of the space babysitter trope. I call it that because every Star Wars entity now, there has to be a baby Yoda. Everything's a baby Yoda. I didn't want to see Jinx get a baby Yoda. Although again, to be fair to Arcane, it's still kind of good, right? I mean, to its advantage, it shows Jinx. She could still be better. She still is craving this found family. She needs someone to love. And it seems that raising her is good for her character. It seems to really help with her symptoms. You don't notice the talking in her head kind of scenes, the guilt. And it shows like the sister dynamic again and how Jinx has really just been craving a sisterly bond like this the whole time. But the issue is this is not where we left off from season 1. Again, the whole thing was her literally right in your face. She picks the Jinx chair. Like she's ready to walk this darker path only for them to almost immediately walk it back. Now, if they wanted to do this, again, this goes back to pacing. Give it more time to breathe. Give it more time to show Jinx not willing to accept this. I mean, she killed Silco over this. Let her at least try and be Jinx, realize it's not working, then maybe she finds Isha. I think that is really one of the biggest issues of Season 2, again, are these expectations that are kind of left to the side or not clearly even delivered on. Because unfortunately, after this, Song just kind of falls out of the plot. It just does. The whole first season was built on this rising tension, this assumedly inevitable conflict, and then they just forget about Zahn. They just brush over it. I mean, the whole conflict is just shown through these quick music cutscenes at the beginning of every episode. And even then, it's kind of hard to tell. And this is mostly focusing on people gaining support for Jinx, which, important, but this is all we really see of this conflict. And look, about the quick music cutscenes, okay, look, they're cool. They're really cool. The style choices they do is so awesome. I mean, just look at this. And that is awesome. It's really, really cool visually. But at the same time, you gotta really squint your eyes to be like, okay, I mean, that's what happened, all right. And yeah, they just kind of don't show a lot, especially with the war. It just wasn't really happening. I mean, the next thing you see, after this one scene is basically they're just throwing the Zonites into, prisoner camps? It's just very abrupt. And I did love these scenes. It's just a lot that occurred of them almost felt like it happened off screen. It's actually a really weird case if it's technically show don't tell, but it still does more to just tell us what happened in between episodes despite giving us these scenes room to actually feel satisfying. It's like the really visually appealing version of like a scrolling text at the beginning of like a Star Wars movie. And look, these cutscenes, they clearly got a lot of praise from season 1, which again, they should. These scenes, they just make me drool. I mean, it's animated crack, it's so good. But instead of using them sparingly, Season 2 formulaically uses them to explain gaps in between episodes, which is just a letdown. And an overabundance of these scenes really drives down the value of the select few amazing ones of these in Season 1. Okay, so now we pretty much covered Jinx, and I'd argue that Jinx really felt underutilized in Season 2. I mean, she's really one of the best characters of Season 1, the duality between her and Vi, their sisterhood, this unbreakable bond that really makes it interesting. It's the emotional backbone of the story. It's the fact that no matter what, they were always going to get back to each other. They couldn't get rid of each other. The fact that it should have been so easy for these characters to hate each other. And that was going to be the goal, right? But then they just never make these characters actually hate each other. In a somewhat painfully realistic way. Right, so like in any other show, it would have been so easy for them to just be like, oh, you killed my family, oh, now I hate you forever, let's be arch enemies, and we'll go meet in mid lane or some shit, and beat the crap out of each other every game for 40 minutes. But like, no, they never do that. Vi still always wants to get Powder back, Victor and Jace, inseparable. Even Mel with her family issues, it's all really endearing stuff. And that theme is still very prevalent in Season 2. Vi never gives up on Powder, and Jace and Victor go so far as to ascend together? Hot. It still goes out of its way to show these bonds between these characters as the most important thing, and is still one of Season 2's greatest strengths. They really still know how to weave the theme through the story, but in doing this, again, it sometimes suffered from the execution. Character progression towards fitting in with this theme was oftentimes sped up or just again done off screen. We really don't see why Jinx would want to be so nice to Vi right away when the last time they interacted, she got her finger shot up and, a few quips and a found father figure again and they're good. There you go. I mean, not that they'd ever fully hate each other. Again, according to the theme, it just feels almost too fast a progression. Now look, speaking of underutilized characters, I think the character who got done the biggest disservice in my opinion this season was Mel. I want to talk more about Mel now. Season 1, Mel is arguably one of the best characters. Every scene she's in, that she's a part in, absolutely steals the show. And she does this basically just through dialogue. I mean, it's just through talking. You know, she's someone very in control with a lot of agency, and it makes a really fun character to watch, especially in a lot of these fantasy type shows where, you know, everyone has superpowers. And so why would the person without superpower, the boring person, be so cool, be so important? But it doesn't matter because she's just so competent at doing what she does. She's a great leader. She's cunning, thoughtful. Tell someone who actually really cares about this world. A really interesting character. And for how she drives the plot, she's the one who basically saves Hextech. She brings up Jace politically. They fall in love. Maybe. She's the one who pushed for war and then realized after her mother that war is bad, became the main voice of reason. Like, there's just a lot of really good things about her character, a really good character arc that season 1 does well. And arguably, probably the best character in season 1. But then I was really disappointed when they basically took everything away by just like not letting her talk anymore. And she was like the Game of Thrones character. She's like the betrayal in the garden type, the, you know, political schemer. Like a cool senator. Well, no, there's no cool senators, but you know what I mean. She's really cool at what she did. And it was just a very effective character on a part of it. She didn't need superpowers to be relevant. But then season 2 comes along and now she's a wizard, Harry? So I guess she's actually had magical powers this whole time. She's some part of ancient bloodline of mages that's actually been targeting her mom, and her family isn't really her family. I mean, okay, her mom's really her mom, but she's still the enemy's daughter, but she's been raised by her mom then to defeat the enemy, but then she gets kicked out of the Medardas. And even if they kind of did set this up, like you can see they set up her saving the explosion actually at the end of season 1. I kind of thought this was just a cool visual effect of the light bouncing off of her like gold accessories. But apparently this is her getting ready to use her magic, you know, so that was set up. But like, she didn't need superpowers. I mean, she was already super. And look, I guess a lot of this could come from the potential rumor that she's apparently going to be the newest League of Legends champion. You know, people like her. We're going to make a champion. She needs superpowers now. And it's like, oh, that's such a bummer because I think she really worked better without it. I think that really killed her character's momentum. And especially with the rush pacing of the whole Black Rose plot thread to fit that in. It's just such breakneck speed. Like, I need to go to physical therapy at this point. My neck hurts. In the process of giving her all these narrative hoops for her character to jump through, she lost all the good parts about her. And does she really have a good talking point with, like, anyone in season 2? Especially because she's absent for, like, most of it. Is this scene with Catwoman really it? And does anyone really remember what they were saying? And how about compared to, like, a scene like this? I think they just took her out of it. I think she was so effective at doing what she did, if she was still there, the plot wouldn't have progressed how they wanted to. So they had to take her out of the story for reasons, whatever. But now we're missing her for what, like 4 episodes out of the 9 we get? And she's just gone. It's just frustrating because you just want to see more of that. I want to see more of the political intrigue again. And aside of her character getting removed, it's just an instant tell that we're moving away from the political intrigue. So one of the best scenes in season 1 is when Jace and Silco are just talking on the wall. Such a great back and forth of people raising the stakes, laying out their intentions, realizing their own consequences. Jace says, give us Jinx. Silco says, you don't really know what's going to happen. You don't want to mess with me. Jace, in a great line, says, no, we will crush you. We will destroy Zahn. You need to think about this. And this scene is just so good because this is the culmination of all their motives at this point. It's Jace offering Silco everything he wanted, and all he has to do is turn in Jinx. And you know, the dramatic irony here being that Jace, or no one really knows that Jinx is essentially Silco's daughter. And asking him to do this is basically asking him to sacrifice his own kid. But the even more ironic part is that old Silco 100% would have done this. He even said,
you see, power, it comes to those who will do anything to achieve it.
But now he's raised a daughter. He's got this bond. He can't get rid of her. He won't want to. He can't. It's the ultimate dramatic irony too, because then as a consequence of this, Jinx ends up killing him and starting the war. It just could have completely been avoided by him turning her in. He doesn't do it. You know, right there, that is such good dramatic irony. It's the best. And you don't see quite a lot of this in season 2. Again, because kind of had to take all the intrigue, kind of shove it to the side for these fast break scenes, like they're just kind of racing to finish the show. And really that, again, all ties back to pacing. So now I finally want to talk about the pacing. Season 2, unlike Season 1, handles everything at just such a faster pace. Season 1 gave you time to really settle into it. I mean, the first 3 episodes are really just introducing you to these characters. The main cast is like kids. They're not even growing up yet. It goes a really long way to show you where they came from and where they're gonna go from here, how it turns out. Look, it's just really interesting starting so far back in these characters' origins. And it really takes the time to flesh it out. When you see Milo and, what's his name? Clagger? Name aside, it still really hurts when you watch them die, because you've gotten to grow with them for 3 full episodes. You've gotten to live with them and their family, with Vi, Powder, Vander, the Goober boys. You really feel this when everything just goes to shit at the end of episode 3. I mean, it's jarring. It's, wow, they just killed 2 teenagers. And you see right here, they set the tone for the entire show just right away. And it's like, okay, things are really gonna happen. We care for these characters. They're gone, just ripped away from us. I mean, we can all feel the pain from the survivors in the aftermath. You get to feel that pain alongside them. Daddy Vander, oh God. And season 2 still tries to replicate this same sort of stuff for the most part. But it's just, again, it's such a faster pace. You can't really care about these characters. Like any of the cop team. I mean, like this guy dying, him? Why do we care about him? They shared a drink under a bridge? Did he even like say a word? Does this guy have any dialogue? You're like, I know. I already talked about the space babysitter trope. So, you know, obviously I hate Isha. I don't, but like, look, I just didn't care enough for Isha at the point when she dies. It was just like, oh man. I mean, I just more felt bad for Jinx rather than feeling any remorse or loss for Isha herself. Hey, look, if they're gonna go for it, then like, go all out. Like, give us more time then, maybe show us more of Jinx doing this, bonding, seeing her as a sister, I don't know. And I guess they do have a decent amount of screen time together, it's still, I didn't care. Things do not get time to settle in this season at all. We're rushing straight into the plot now and it's just happening. We cut back to, you know, like the memorial for the council members, for Caitlyn's mom. And there's basically like a terrorist attack, like an assassination attempt on the council. But they don't go through with that. Well, for 2 reasons. Because they obviously needed Mel to stay alive then, and because we do find out that, oh, her mom kind of set it up, I guess. But it still just feels like kind of a wasted scene. It just devolves straight into an action scene. They're shooting these big bad robot shimmer guys, whatever. You're really cool, and we get the big team up here. What are we, some kind of League of Legends? It just ends up not being really important, you know. No one really gets hurt or anything. You lose that one Silco henchman again. But okay, I mean, they're doing stuff, they're shooting. And, you know, the big plot twist was, oh, it was Mel's mom the whole time. Ooh, and that's probably why Mel wasn't taken out. Anyways, now Mbessa is apparently pushing for the war. But it's like, I still just have a lot of problems with this. Like, this felt like wasted time. This scene did, because the war should have been really inevitable at this point. And she blew up the council. I don't see why any of this would have slowed down the way it did unless the writers themselves needed to slow it down to insert another antagonist and a conflict along with it. Which would be why they introduce Mbessa here to be the new antagonist and the new conflict now. But even before anything further starts, they decide, getting back to Caitlyn's character, you know, we're going to be enforcers now, we're going to take her down. Instead of leading to any real conflict, Caitlyn steps in. I'm going to lead a strike team that's specifically 5 people. Like a league team. And we're going to go, we're going to hunt her down, we're going to stop Jinx, stop Shimmer, save the world. What are we, some kind of League of Legends? And then they just off-screen a bunch of plot points. And this is it, you know, this is your, your Piltover's finest moment, you know, this is your Vi and Caitlyn enforcers hunting down Jinx moment, and you get a scene with them fighting her like it'd be right out of a trailer. And there you go, there's your Nolan Batman trilogy moment where they fight the iconic enemy once. It's the only time it happens. And look, I just want to say I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I really like that these characters are getting away from their video game stories and they're giving them way more to do. Jinx and Vi were never sisters in the game as far as I can remember. And just changes like that make them just so much better off. So it's just really refreshing. But I just do find it funny that they're like, okay, here's your moment. Here it is. Fans, get your cameras ready. So, okay, so they're both enforcers. They're fighting Jinx. There you go. Piltover's finest. But bringing this up again because this whole enforcers thing, I was like an episode. And I mean, it's just going so fast. They didn't need to necessarily be more than 1 episode, but at the same time, if they did slow it down, we could have seen them actually taking down the Shimmer Barons. I would have found that kind of cool. So they go through these events, they start tacking these plot threads to these scenes, and if you're not paying attention to the stylized music part, then you're not going to know what's happened. You want to see them take down the Shimmer Barons? How about we imply it through an overly stylized music video? So then the whole Enforcers plot kind of ends, but not right before finally showing it. I mean, hats off. I mean, they do it. Like, go fans. If you've been a Vi and Caitlyn fan for the past 10 years like I have, then Yay. Look at that. They did it. They confirmed it. Yeah, awesome. You know, it's a little worried they wouldn't, but they did it. And then they did it even further. So we're good. I mean, if you're hoping for that confirmation, then look at you. Yeah, woo. Good for you. But what they do kind of show us from the Enforcers raid kind of seemingly was wasted time again, except for the Vi, Caitlyn, Jinx interactions. I mean, so Jinx's plot they're trying to stop while being Enforcers was, I guess, to direct the Grey up to Piltover, but then not really doing anything. Like, do they really just need Jinx not doing anything Zon related so they could do this fight or not rush into the conflict so they could save it for the final episode? It's just a little troll, like a demonstration. Again, just kind of underutilized Jinx. At times like this, it just seems they really didn't know what to do with her. There wasn't any major consequences from this, right? I mean, the Grey just what? It goes up to Piltover and there's really no mention of it again except for what, like Tiny Tim? Is it just this kid? I don't. So then immediately going back to Caitlyn, now she goes up and, you know, oh, you know, martial law, you're the commander. Ooh, state of emergency, lead us to war. So now Caitlyn just becomes a dictator, I guess, and she's gonna lead the assault finally. Okay, cool. That's when it cuts straight away to Zonites being just like in prison camps. They don't show any resistance, conflict. Nope, just a quick blue hair music cutscene again. And it's basically done all off screen. You know, the old Gojo treatment. And that's just it. It's over. There goes the entire Piltover Zon conflict. And guess what? Never comes up again. So that's it. In the course of this one episode, it all just goes so fast. And it really shows that they're trying to end it in 2 seasons. Like a lot of people said, if they're still introducing plot threads like this, if they're still moving so quickly like this is when I see the argument for a 3rd season, or even just like 4 more episodes would have really helped. Just allowing these plots to just breathe. Let me breathe. But an over-reliance on this attractive version of a text scrolling at the beginning of the movie doesn't allow any of these victories to feel earned or satisfying, and it's just disappointing. Look, my final gripe with the pacing is the actual title of the show itself, The Arcane. Like, the whole magic system of this show was not really important in season 1. I mean, it was, but look, like, The Arcane was basically just further set dressing for the show. It was just used to further this. We don't care how he made the hex gems. We don't need to know how. We don't care exactly how it works. We just care that he made it. And that helps drive these characters. Him making the hex gates literally advances the society and pushes these problems even further, pushes Zon further away from being an actual realized city, you know, this technological advantage. But I'm glad they did it this way. It was never really about that. Kind of baffles me that, you know, the Arcane went basically from just kind of setting to being a really main part. I mean, the Arcane literally rips 3 or 4 characters just out of the show for like 4 episodes. Yeah, four characters, because, you know, 3 get sent to different timelines by the Arcane, and Mel gets kidnapped by a bunch of Arcane users. And this is also our first showing that magic still does exist in this world and people do still wield it. There are organizations of powerful mages. There's just a little more introduction to that could have been helpful. And because of this, it really starts to shift to just solely being about the Arcane and the impending doom it brings. And then it really starts to focus on Victor, you know, becoming emboldened by the Arcane, basically ascending. Now he's Jesus Victor. He's gonna save the world through a glorious evolution. And here's where the plot-driven part comes in, because now, from the future, we can see that Arcane is going to destroy everything. Now there's this inevitable thing that's coming. And even though it started by character-driven motivation, you know, with Victor coming to Jace to solve the problem, wanting to do good, but then now it's basically going to end the world. You could say that's a really good consequence from that. But then it just starts to become more of an impending doom kind of thing. And it really starts to do that once Victor kind of rises as the main antagonist. It's no longer this political conflict. It's now more of a generic, ooh, the monster's coming, he's gonna hurt everyone. So now we need to team up, or else the evil, scary magic robots are gonna take over the city. And even right there, it just feels way more childish than anything that was really tackled in season 1. All the nuance of these characters is gone because now the villain is so undeniably evil. Like, at least there was nuance to it before. Silka was evil, but we could see where he was coming from. So it just really makes it interesting that this happens. They go for such a comic book evil bad guy in the end. Well, I will save the world by glorious evolution, which really means they'll have no free will. And it's like, oh, well, then you're obviously the bad guy. Evil magical hive mind is going to destroy everything? Like, yeah. So now we got team up and save the world. What are we, some kind of League of Legends? And okay, now that my glaring issues are out of the way, I really do want to talk about it, what it does good. It still has a lot of these really great character interactions that, even though they go in different ways, it still contributes to a really good story. And I think this leads me to what I think is my favorite episode and like the internet's favorite episode. But episode 7, I mean, we get to see Echo finally having the most screen time ever Thank God, we need more Echo. And he gets to explore a world that was not affected by hex tech at all, and how everyone's life is fundamentally better. He runs into Heimendinger again, apparently dating Powder. It's great, he learns a lot of character development. The best part of this episode is it just slows down again. It feels like it's paced like a season 1 episode. I mean, you can breathe, you could really see these characters again, you can feel it. And you can feel a lot of love was put into this episode, and that just felt good. But then you remember that this is the third to last episode. So, why are we slowing it down here? Even though it's so good, I did want to see more of this, but now we're running out of time. You know, we gotta wrap up the story. As much as I love this, it just almost felt like some kind of happy fanfiction thrown right at the end. I didn't want it to be that. I would love for this show to fit this kind of pacing, is all I'm trying to say. And it was nice, like, seeing that in episode 7. It was nice seeing how it could have been. And like, I still really love this episode. It's fun. All of the interactions with Echo and Powder are just so obviously important for the ending still, or getting it kind of saves her. At the same time, it was just so good to watch as a fan. But look now, even after all the good, I can still call this episode a little messy, because it's also simultaneously introduced 2 concepts that kind of muck up shows whenever they get introduced, and that's multiverses and time travel simultaneously into the plot. And the fact that anytime these concepts are introduced to a solid story automatically makes it complicated. Now again, they seem to handle tropes better than most, and Echo's multiverse adventure is still some of the most endearing parts of this entire show. At the end of the day though, a lot of characters still get out of this good. I'd say every character still has a good arc, good conclusions. The character who seems to be most unaffected from the expectations set up by season 1 is actually probably Caitlyn. And then Vi, too. The character arcs still seem pretty in line with where season 1 ended. Caitlyn's actions definitely making the most sense, just again at really fast speeds. Like, her arc in season 1 is basically she breaks Vi out of jail, uses her to investigate the Undercity, they form a bond, stuff happens, and then she gets kidnapped by Jinx, and then they ended season together. In season 2, she goes from her mom dying to being angry to wanting to get revenge to hunting down Jinx to figure up with Vi to then being made a dictator, then doing dictator things, to training under Mbessa, leading a thing, going to challenge Victor, they hear about that, then she finds Vi again, reconciles with Vi, betrays Mbessa, gets back together with Vi, and now they're fighting to save the world. And that's just pretty in line with this season. Jace and Victor were also pretty much in line, and you can tell because they had to basically scrap them for most of the episodes to not blow their load on the conflict right away. So, you know, I did like seeing them explore the tattered future. You know, it's cool, like a glimpse, you know, a Christmas Carol type of thing, I guess. You know, woo, I mean, that's fun, I guess. It's still better than Attack on Titan. God. Anyways, Jace's character, he goes through the hobo thing. He hates the Arcane now. He sees the part of it. He wants to destroy it. He feels like it's his fault. That's fine. That's great. That still is the character-driven part of it. You know, I started this, I gotta finish it. Awesome. And now, you know, I've got to confront Victor now for our Nolan Batman trilogy scene now, because that's our whole thing in the video game, right? Ooh, and then they have their fight. You know, there you go. And back to the time travel thing. Look, I think it's interesting making it Victor who then starts it off, but I don't think it necessarily needed to be kicked off by someone from the future. I think just him actually meeting one of the random wizards left in this world could still be really interesting. I mean, it's just like really the inciting incident right there. Jace learning that the Arcane is helpful. And look, really what hinders season 2 in the end is just what happens with the expectations, the pacing, these unfinished plot threads, delving into other ones so late. That's what really hinders season 2. I really think if they kept it contained in this tight story like it was in season 1, Piltover versus Zahn, it could have been really, really good. I don't know what it looked like, especially with the stuff they'd been cooking. Like, one problem I had with season 2, honestly, was Vander Warwick. Look, I think there's more powerful letting Vander just be dead. I kind of thought the Warwick parts of the season were some of the weaker parts. I mean, not the fight scenes though. I mean, him running through the prison, man, that is that is peak like monster horror kind of scenes. That was fun. But then yeah, it's Vander, and even though it helped Vi and Jinx reconcile, and you know, they get to make their new little found family thing again, you know, trying to help Vander. It's, you know, there's a power to letting your characters be dead, and it almost felt like it was just forced to have a reason to make Vi and Jinx come back together again. Anyways, so now the finale, everyone comes together. They have the battle. It's not the battle we initially wanted, but it's still a really cool battle. You know, Piltover and Zahn teaming up. Yeah, basically humanity versus glorious evolution. All the heroes gathering, coming together to save the world. What are we, some kind of League of Legends? And, you know, it's still just really fun. I mean, they have really cool scenes like this. You know, he dies. They push back, you know, fun battles. The tensions are high still. You're like, oh, are they gonna, you know, it really has a big, good, you know, all is lost moment. And then it concludes still pretty well. I mean, in the end, I still think it does what it wanted to do this season really well. And most importantly, the biggest takeaway is it's still fun. And it's still a visual feast. I mean, my God. Just look at this. So the final stuff is great. And now for the ending. Again, if you're a Vi Caitlyn fan, congratulations. You get the best ending. Now for how the show wraps up, I do think it's good and in line with this season. In a vacuum, it's really good. And yeah, they save the world. Vi and Caitlyn get together. Maddie's dead. Everything's good, you know? Hey, two bros just ascending together. Is that in that game? So in the end, I think no matter what, Arcane still gets an 8 out of 10. My season 2 rating would probably be like a 7 out of 10. And that's just because of just, again, some of those choices they made. But if you gotta know, I think everything else was perfect. Like I said, the voice acting, the visuals, the direction. One more round of applause to the animators. They really, really deserve it. Good job, animators. So look, there may be more League stories, and good. Honestly, they really got me hooked in this universe when I thought I was done completely. Never wanted to hear about it again. So I think at the end of the day, Arcane still sets out to do what it accomplished, that was to make you interested in League of Legends and its world. Maybe buy some merch. Some skins. Let's be honest, even more than that, I think it's just still a good story. Again, it has these issues in the second season that end up really hindering the overall presentation, but back to the package metaphor, it's still a great package, and I will definitely be cherishing this package for a very, very long time. And like they say in this season, there is still beauty in imperfections, and the beauty of Season 2 still shines brightly. So, thanks for listening. If you're wondering why you've never heard of me or my channel is empty, this is my first video. And I really enjoyed making this, and I hopefully plan on making more. I don't know. So like, if you're interested, or you know, maybe it's like a funny prank sort of thing, like, you know, think of like liking and subscribing to the channel, you know, like how funny would it be if we all subscribe to this nobody? That'll show him, that'll teach him a lesson.